ASU and ASU Kerr acknowledge the 22 Native nations that have inhabited this land for centuries. Arizona State University's 4 campuses and ASU Kerr are located in the Salt River Valley on ancestral territories of indigenous peoples, including the Akimel O'odham and Peeposh Indian communities, whose care and keeping of these lands allow us to be here today. We acknowledge the sovereignty of these nations and seek to foster an environment of success and possibility for Native American patrons and communities.
Well, good morning. My name is Tracy Mason. I'm the ASU Care General Manager, and we are so glad to have you here this morning. What a glorious morning it is, right? So before we get started, just a couple of things. One is you may notice the lights in the house flickering today. We are very aware of this. This is a situation we are on top of and trying to deal with, but meanwhile, it is still possibly going to be a thing. So just want you to know, we know about it and we're doing what we can to mitigate how often it happens and how very disruptively it happens. But we definitely are working on, you know, strange things happen with older buildings. So we're working on it. If you need the restroom, it is right back that direction. We have a nice sign now because Robert's amazing. And just wanted to put out a nice little shout out to Renegade for the nice coffee and coffee cake this morning. So we have quite a few collaborations and a couple of sponsorships, and so that is one of our sponsorships. So we hope that you'll go see Renegade right down at Granite Reef in McDonald. So close. They're so lovely. They have amazing food and drinks, and I stop by there quite often. You can get rewards and have $1 knocked off your food. Like, what's not to like about Renegade? We love them, and we love them sponsoring these Wednesday coffee events. We would also like to thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts for your $5 suggested donation because it does help us be able to keep these going. We, you know, obviously would be very grateful if there was any more you could give, but we also understand that being sort of a free event allows some people to come who would not otherwise be able to step foot in this building. So we are grateful for you as well. There are other ways you can help Care thrive. There are ways like volunteering. You could come volunteer. We're still building our volunteer pool. If you'd like to see some of our shows, but you can't afford the show, come volunteer for us and you get to see the show. Because we need those greeters, those people that will help usher to seats and help watch the walls, because you can't lean against the walls. They're adobe, they crumble. So we appreciate those volunteers deeply. And I want to mention that we do have a couple more shows. We're right at the end of our featured artist season. So if you do come to our shows and you're not sure what's happening or how many more there are, well, there's 2 more. There's one this Friday, Piano Heist, which is going to be a blast. If you want some humor in your life, these guys are hilarious. They're out of Canada. There's still good seats available. And it is just going to be a lot of fun. And then on Sunday at 4 o'clock, we have Winston Churchill coming to visit us. So I'm super excited by that show. He is an amazing speaker, even before he does Winston Churchill. So anyway, that's enough about shows coming up. Just wanted to make sure you're aware. And then we are trying to book some shows into the shoulder season for those of you who are local and looking for things to do during the summer. We are trying to do that as well. So with that being said, we're, again, very grateful you're here. And I would love to introduce Arizona Opera. Please give a warm welcome to Brian DeMaris. So grateful for this collaboration.
Thank you, Tracy. Nice to see all of you here. Thank you so much. This is a very familiar venue to me. 10 years, you'll get tired of hearing it at some point if you've heard me chat in the last 9 months. But for 10 years, I directed the opera and musical theater program at ASU in Tempe. And I had the privilege of bringing students here for a decade to perform here. We workshopped more than 12 brand new works. The first one we did in here, Prism by Ellen Reed and Roxy Perkins, people hated it. And 6 months later, it won the Pulitzer Prize and was premiered at Los Angeles Opera. So maybe our tastes in here are a little different than LA and the Pulitzer jury, but that series was really great, and Kerr is one of my favorite spaces. I'm so glad for Tracy, who I've worked with for years. And also I used to give preview lectures for Arizona Opera right from this pulpit when I first started at ASU, and I vividly remember during the pandemic, ASU and Kerr and Arizona Opera worked together to keep content going online, so you can still find some of my lectures in March 2020, right from here with no one in the room, and presumably people watching from home. So it's a pleasure to be here. I'm Brian DeMaris, the President and General Director of Arizona Opera. I moved downtown in August, and it's just a pleasure to step into this role and keep opera going in our state. So yes. It's not easy, and I'm happy to dive into that topic today as well. But I'm here to show you our 55th season. Before I launch in, I just wanted to thank our board members and league members who are here today. I see a few of you are regular opera attendees. Just curious, who's attended Arizona Opera previously? Performances downtown, and excellent. And subscribers? Excellent. We can renew those subscriptions for you now. Excellent. And who's attended ASU Coffee at Kerr for a while? Yeah. And who saw Butterfly? Madama Butterfly. Thank you very much. Yes, we're proud of that one. 99.55% to revenue goal. More of that, please. More of that, please. I won't get too into numbers today, but I'm proud of that one. That one is really happy. But also, Chris and Karen Moore from the Rocky Mountain Metropolitan Opera District. I hope you don't mind me just putting you on the spot. 3 years ago, I dove in to help the Arizona District Metropolitan Opera Competition continue in Arizona. That's still going. I had to let go of that this summer, but it is still going. And what happens here is our singers that audition in Arizona, like Sedona, right? Any of you guys that then continue and go to perform at the Rocky Mountain region. Last year, Emma Marhefka, who was one of our Pool and Studio artists at Arizona Opera, won Arizona, won the Rocky Mountain region, and then went to New York City and won the semifinals, and then the nationals, and then made her Met debut last season, and is again performing next season. We're really proud of her, and also really happy to have both of you here supporting young, developing singers in Arizona and throughout Rocky Mountain. So welcome, Chris and Karen. And the last introduction is the Arizona Opera Marian Roos Poulin Studio Artists. We hear last year over 600 audition, this year over 700 audition. We select 5 singers, a pianist and a stage director. And we're here today with 4 of those singers, returning studio artist Sam Krause, returning studio artist and Arizona native Sedona Libero, returning studio artist Ichen Chua, this year new studio artist, and next year returning studio artist Francesca Herrera. A very elite group, and we're very proud that Arizona Opera has this program, founded in 2008. Shout out to our staff as well, including David Margulis, who is our new leader of that program. Thank you guys for being here. And we're continuing it. The past 2 years as part of the company's temporary diminishment, the studio program was a half season, and our priority for next year was to restore it to a full season long, and we have done that. And that we decided before restoring programming, we couldn't restore programming without all of them. We are taking them everywhere. We had a 2-hour drive the other night to south of Tucson. We almost were in Mexico. And they've been such troopers, and they're so incredible. So they'll present some selections from next season as well today. So yeah, 1971 and Tucson, and 55th year next year. As I mentioned, our goal was to expand. 2 seasons, it was really just last season that opera did 1 fully staged opera, La Boheme, 1 concert opera, Aida, and then I had the privilege of conducting this group in The Secret Gardener, which was just 1 performance in each city. but sold out and really effective and wonderful. It was at Tohono Chul in Tucson and the incredible the Monroe Street Abbey here. And if you haven't been to that venue, be sure to check it out. It's really, really great. But that was it last year. And of course, Zorro was announced as part of that to continue to honor subscriptions. And then this year, Zorro with the subscribers sort of repeated itself there in the fall for the subscribers. But we got back to 3 projects in Symphony Hall, Zorro and the very successful Madame Butterfly, Zorro 2, very successful. And then what we have is a semi-stage concert of La Cenerentola. Looking at what we could do with that time in Symphony Hall, La Cenerentola will be semi-staged. We have the orchestra on the stage. We have the singers out in front, very close to you, and really terrific, amazing cast featuring some of the studio here, returning studio artists. Patrick Carfizzi, an incredible baritone, has done Magnifico, and featuring the Arizona Opera Orchestra and Chorus. So it'll be staged, there will be props, and we have portions of our set up there and chandeliers and a nice ballroom. We're trying to really honor all of the craftsmanship that goes into making opera, even though this season we weren't quite ready to put a full set of scenery in there. It'll be costumes and lights and surely incredible fun music making. But next year the idea is to expand programming. The venues are getting very pricey. Everything is getting very pricey. But the venues and the challenge of filling them is really substantial. And I don't know if you follow opera, but if I need to feel good about how we're doing at Arizona Opera, I just read the news about other opera companies these days. And I think, we are not doing so bad, right? But really expanding that programming and how that is, and really the idea is that not everything can be big and grand. And I love grand opera more than anyone else, but to do more programming, not everything can be grand, but it can be excellent. So restoring the studio, which can bring little performances just like today to all throughout the state, was absolutely critical, and we did that. Continuing the commitment to new work. One of my favorite things about Arizona Opera as an audience member and citizen the past 10 years was I could see new operas. And I love that. And I could see new grand operas like Riders of the Purple Sage. I could see Silent Night, really big operas, but I could also see the smaller programming and the inventive chamber work and the innovative projects as well. So I didn't want to let go of that. I thought as a new general director, I would be doing our art form in the future a disservice if we just went back to doing the same top 10 operas on repeat. And we'll continue to do those because people still love them, but we still have to honor that commitment to new work. And we have to, because it's in our mission statement, it's in the first sentence of our mission statement, figure out a financially sustainable way to present opera throughout the state of Arizona. So really continuing to deliver our programming to Tucson. We're expanding to Prescott with a wonderful presence up there in Prescott, and staying our presence downtown, which is so important, but also expanding our presence through a growing geography of Phoenix. And in that, recognizing what our subscribers have been through the past couple years, we wanted to create a format for a season that we can depend on for 3 to 5 years. So what we have done is 2 smaller projects in the fall season and 2 large projects in the spring, seeing that as a move forward. So the first project is Scalia Ginsburg. I just got the Opera America industry report, and this is the 4th most performed American opera last season. It's a piece I've conducted 3 times. It was written around 2014, kind of made its mark around 2018, and then after the pandemic, many companies started doing it because it was small and safe to do, because when opera reemerged from the pandemic, we couldn't have huge casts and choruses and orchestras. We needed to stay small for safety. And this is one of those pieces. It has 3 highly memorable characters. It was written by my friend Derek Wang, who went to law school just to write this opera. He thought he needed to kind of understand a little bit more of that. He took some law classes. He's the composer and the librettist, and he teaches at Peabody Conservatory now. And we'll be doing this at the Herberger Theater in Phoenix in September, and then the Leo Rich Theater in Tucson. As you can imagine, the 2 lead characters are familiar to you, perhaps not from the opera stage, but from our political system. For a piece that's so much about Supreme Court and American politics, it's rather anti-political piece, because its moral is we can this is a good system we have. We can converse, we can disagree, and we can get along, and we can still be friends. Justices Scalia and Ginsburg were friends their whole lives, and they had subscription seats next to each other at Washington National Opera their whole careers, and they were in an opera together at Washington National Opera, and they got along. They loved opera, they loved food and wine, and they both were involved in the creation of this opera. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was involved with Glimmerglass Opera, Glimmerglass Festival for a long time. That's where Derek Wang met her and said, I'd like to write an opera about you and Scalia. And she said, go for it, and she heard it and said, you have to play this for him and make sure he's okay with it. So she arranged a special private performance at the Supreme Court for Scalia. And he wept and said the aria written for him was one of the most glorious pieces of opera that he's ever heard. It made him think of his father. And she passed away before the full professional premiere, and he passed away just shortly later. So Derek wrote the ending honoring the passing of Justice Ginsburg, but after Scalia passed away, he thought he would leave it sort of open-ended to let directors choose what to do. So now it's sort of interesting to see how they choose the ending. But the music, as in all of opera, the music on that last page tells the story, so the creative team can choose how it ends. But it's really quite beautiful. This is Derek Wang's words. This is inspired by the justices and by the operatic precedent of Handel, Mozart, Rossini, Bellini, Verdi, Offenbach, etc. And he's very creative, having written the words and the lyrics and knowing a lot about the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court makes its decisions based on precedent, and it has to cite former decisions to make a determination of a case. And whenever the characters, and most of this text is taken verbatim from their quotes and their opinions and their dissents, whenever Derek Wang quotes precedent, he also quotes, through a play on words, operatic precedents. So one of my favorite things is at the very beginning, Scalia he's singing a Handel Rage aria, saying the justices are blind. And he says, at one point, he says a word, so if they don't follow the Constitution by word, they'll never, never know the law. And never, never know the law is a quote from Carmen, who's singing about the rebellious bird who doesn't obey the law. So the more you know about opera, and the more you know about the law, the more you really find every measure of this piece intriguing. But if you only know about opera, you'll learn something about the law. And if you only know about the law, you'll learn something about opera. And if you know something about neither one of them, you'll still have a great time because it's full of tunes that you recognize, even if you've never been to the opera before. So it's a really delightful piece. I've long wanted to bring it to Arizona, and we're really excited to have it here. So instead of myself talking all about this, you might want to hear from one of the justices about it.
So the Scalia-Ginsburg opera was written by a...
Hold on a second. I messed this up because I was supposed to be hitting spacebar. I'm going to do one quick thing here and start this over so that you can also see the video and not just hear it. Oh. Hope this works. There we go.
So the Scalia-Ginsburg opera was written by a law school student?
He was then a law school student. He was a music major at Harvard and a master's in music from Yale. Derek Wang is his name. He decided it would be useful to know something about the law. So he enrolled in his hometown law school at the University of Maryland. And in his second year, he took a constitutional law course. He read these dueling opinions, Scalia on one side, Ginsburg on the other, and decided this could make a very funny opera. So I'll just give you a taste of Scalia-Ginsburg. It opens with Scalia's Rage aria. It's an aria very Handelian in style. And he sings, "The justices are blind. How can they possibly spout this? The Constitution says absolutely nothing about this. And then in my coloratura soprano voice, I answered, Dear Justice Scalia, you are searching for bright line solutions to problems that don't have easy answers. But the great thing about our Constitution is that, like our society, it can evolve. So that sets up the difference between us. The plot of Scalia Ginsburg is roughly based on the magic flute. And Scalia is locked up in a dark room. He's being punished for excessive dissenting. I then emerge through a glass ceiling. To help him pass the tests he needs to pass to get out of the dark room. Then a character left over from Don Giovanni, the commentatore, is astonished. He said, he's your enemy. Why would you want to help him? And I sing, he's not my enemy, he's my dear friend. And then we sing a wonderful duet that goes, we are different, we are one. Different in our approach to reading legal texts, but one in our reverence for the Constitution and for the institution we serve.
So you heard Justice Ginsburg's take on this, and we'll give you Justice Scalia's take with Sam Krause performing Scalia's aria.
Down to once we rediscover that, then our nation can begin once again to rise. We can rise. We must rise. We shall rise. Anyway, that's my view, and it happens to be correct.
Ginsberg is written in the style of Mozart, and Scalia in the style of Puccini, as you can hear in there. And hopefully you heard a little bit of the Olympian Vincero at the end when he's singing We Can Rise. The opera is just full of those little hearkenings to opera and honoring opera as well as our nation. Well done, Sam. I hope you get to do that role many times. Next is another small project, El Gato con Botas, or Puss in Boots is the name of the fairy tale that is best known in English. Javier Monsalvatje and Nestor Luján wrote this in Spain in the 1950s for children and the radio. And it's done now and then, but it's really done as a family opera. It's exquisite, its libretto is in the zarzuela style, and its music is through composed with arias and tunes and ensembles, and a lot of Spanish rhythm. It's about an hour long. We'll be doing this piece with our entire Marian Ruiz-Pullen studio artists in the Black Box Theater at Arizona Opera Center on North Central, so you don't have to go all the way downtown, just a little bit downtown, and we have parking there too. So we'll be doing that in our Black Box Theater, where currently our video wall lives very impressively in there, so you can join us there for that. It will feature all 5 of the Marian Ruiz-Pullen studio artists and the pianist and the director of the Pullen studio, and really strongly geared toward families. We'll do multiple performances here as well as back at the Leo Rich in Tucson. 1948 is when it was written. The goal here is to expand programming, particularly for families and building new audiences. I see this as the most critical work that opera needs to do. We have a school program that goes to the schools in Tucson every fall, in Phoenix every spring. They're in a school this morning somewhere in North Phoenix, and we perform for nearly 40,000 school students, K through 12, each season, over 150 schools. And this is being offered in addition to that, so that those kids bring their parents to the opera because they love it so much when it comes to their schools. This is the most performed Spanish language opera in Spain. And it's not performed here too much, but we're really excited to bring it here to Arizona. The other thing I didn't really want to let go of was the opera company's commitment to performing Spanish language opera here in Arizona. This gives you a little flavor of where we're going with this one. This is a production from Spain, a family production in Spain, and just a little bit of the ending to give you a flavor of the music and what you'll see in our Black Box next year. Oops, it went all the way to the beginning there for some reason. Let me bump it forward. Oops. Let's try that again. I messed it up, Kayla. But I don't want to play the 3-minute speech of the other general director.
Bienvenidos a este Gato con Botas. Estoy muy contento de que estéis aquí y que espero que lo paséis muy bien. Saber que
Well, we might have to let that one go. You'll have to come see it. If we have time, we'll pop back to that one.
She's coming, Brian.
Oh, okay, great. I think the link was supposed to start at a certain minute, and it hasn't. I don't think it's going to work, because I haven't been hitting spacebar now, so I can try this again. So we'll do this. I'll get it to play here. Oh, no, it's not going to do that. There it is. Good. second. It goes there. We got it. Oh, it keeps going back to the beginning. I'll show you what we'll do. We will go to the link. And we'll play from YouTube. Here we go. Successfully helped the miller unite with the princess, defeating the ogre. To end the evening. It's very tuneful and lyrical and really, really beautiful, sweet piece with a very simple plot and exciting. And then we go back to Symphony Hall in January with the Pirates of Penzance. Yes, which this opera company has done Mikado like 5 times and Pirates 3 times. And regularly did operetta. Last time the Pirates was done, I think it was 2010 with Arizona Opera, so we're excited to bring Gilbert and Sullivan back to Symphony Hall. My inspiration lately has been Ballet Arizona, and I went to see Tchaikovsky's Sleeping Beauty in the fall, and there was not an empty seat in the house because all the kids were there to hear Tchaikovsky. And of course, there's the Nutcracker, which all the kids go see every year with their grandparents and parents. That makes me very jealous that opera doesn't have its Nutcracker to do every December, although many composers now are trying to find that Nutcracker for the opera. And then just last a week or 2 ago, seeing Alice in Wonderland at the ballet again. Lines around the block to get in, and kids and families, and I thought, let's tease them a little bit. First, we'll meet them in the schools with our education tour. We will see them at El Gato con Botas, and then we will bring them back with their parents and their grandparents for the Pirates of Penzance. That is the plan. So thank you for your help in making sure that happens, and we have a steady crescendo of attendance throughout the year next year. So 2 performances in Phoenix and 2 in Tucson with that one as well. This was a Broadway premiere For those that aren't aware, in the late 1800s, Broadway was doing operetta because most of the culture and population of New York City was European immigrants, and the European immigrants from Germany and Italy and Ireland brought their music with them, and their music was opera. So Broadway started as opera before it became American musical comedy in the early 20th century. So this premiered on Broadway in 1879. Now, the hit was HMS Pinafore that had premiered a couple years prior to that on Broadway. But because there were no legal protections overseas, there were all these illegal performances of HMS Pinafore happening in the US, and the shrewd businessmen that W.S. Gilbert and Arthur Sullivan wanted to make sure that didn't happen with their next hit. So they premiered it here before it was premiered in Europe. Unfortunately, the best story gives you an idea of what he may have been like. Sir Arthur Sullivan left all of the music on his desk in London before he got on the ship. And he rewrote the whole opera on the boat. So here and there you can find lost scores and tunes from the Pirates of Penzance because he had forgotten how they went, so he wrote new ones while he was on the ship preparing for the Broadway premiere. So it wouldn't really be able to fax the scores over at that point in time. But I have to play, this is not at all what the actual opera sounds like with full orchestra and operatic singing, but because it was so famous and it's such a famous Arizonan, I'm playing a little bit of Linda Ronstadt singing the role of Mabel. This was redone in a contemporized version in 1980s at Shakespeare in the Park in New York City, featuring Arizona's own Linda Ronstadt singing Mabel. So again, not entirely operatic, as we'll be doing it, but we have to honor Arizona's own Mabel.
Poor wandering one, though thou hast surely strayed, take heart of grace, thy steps retrace, poor wandering one. Poor wandering one, if such poor love as mine can help thee find true peace of mind, why, take it, it is thine. Take heart, no danger lowers.
That's the more modern Broadway version, but remember, even in the 19th century with a full symphony orchestra and operatic voices, it was always meant for Broadway. So here to present a little bit more of the opera flavor of this trio, please welcome Sedona Libero, Sam Krause, and Yishan Shue.
When you had left a pirate filled, we tried to raise a spirit's neck, according to our customs of with quips and quibbles quaint. But all in vain the quips we heard. We lay and sobbed upon the rocks, until to somebody occurred a startling paradox.
A paradox.
A paradox, a most ingenious paradox. We quips and quibbles heard in flocks, but none to hit this paradox.
A paradox, the most ingenious paradox.
This paradox.
We knew your tasteful curious, grateful crimes and contradictions queer, and with a laughter on it, we wish you there to hear. We said if we could tell it him, of Frederick would this joke enjoy. And so we risked both life and limb to tell his true or boy. A paradox, a most ingenious paradox. We quips and quibbles heard in flock, and now to beat this paradox. A paradox, the most ingenious paradox. This paradox. For some ridiculous reason, to which, however, I no desire to be disloyal, some person in authority, I don't know who, Very likely the astronomer Royo has decided that, although for such a beastly month as February, 28 days as a rule are plenty, 1 year in every 4 his days shall be reckoned as 9 and 20. Through some singular coincidence, I shouldn't be surprised if it were owing to the agency of an ill-natured fairy. You are the victim of this clumsy arrangement, having been born in the leap year on the 29th of February. And so, by a simple arithmetical process, you easily discover that though you live the 21 years, yet, if we go by birthdays, you are only 5 and a little bit over. Dear me, let's see. Yes, yes, with yours my figures do agree. How quaint the ways of paradox, at common sense she gaily mocks. Though counting in the usual way, years 21 I've been alive. Yet reckoning by my natal day, yet reckoning by my natal day, I am a little boy of 5. He is a little boy. A paradox, a most ingenious paradox. This paradox. You'll have fun, I promise. We are purchasing this. I've done this opera 6 times. It's one of my favorites. We're purchasing this set from a little company in Virginia where I did it last summer at Charlottesville Opera. And we are bringing it here. The theater is the same width. And we are going to build it a little higher so it fits into Symphony Hall and Ronstadt Music Hall. Delightful traditional production. It's sure to be a lot of fun. And then last, in the big house in February will be Verdi's La Traviata, an Arizona favorite, 6th and 7th of March, and the weekend after in Tucson. This premiered in 1852 at La Fenice in Venice. It's based on the novel, or the play, La Dame aux Camélias by Alexandre Dumas, following the courtesan Violetta Valéry. And it was a really, really popular play. Based on some memoirs, and Piave and Verdi saw the play just a couple years before the opera premiere and wanted to set it as an opera. They were moved by how the play set the story in contemporary society, and that's what they wanted to, but the censors in Venice were a thing to get around at that time, so they wanted it moved back in time, so it was a little less of a jolt for the Grand Opera audience to be seeing a courtesan on stage dying of consumption. But removing it and setting it back in time might help people digest that. But it wasn't until the 1880s later that their original intentions were set where it was set in the time period in which the opera was written, which is the time period in which we'll be setting it as well. This is a new production. We're collaborating with Sacramento Opera and Philharmonic on this set. That will utilize some projections as a backdrop with a set and scenery in front of it. So this architecture kind of moves around and the windows and doors move around. That's just an early sketch of it. They're in Sacramento working on this now, and then it'll come to us afterward and we'll do it here. And one of the ways the opera industry functions is that we build sets and we store them and then we rent them to other companies. So the Madama Butterfly that you just saw, well, even before that, the Zorro, this was its second production of Zorro here at Arizona Opera, and it's going on to other performances. And then the Madama Butterfly that was built was at Calgary, and then it was here, and it's at Opera Grand Rapids next month.
And it lives in our warehouse right here in Arizona. And both of these pieces, the Pirates of Penzance and La Traviata, will live here and be rented throughout the country and Canada, with all luck on our side, right? Verdi, La Traviata, one of the best, one of the greatest, full of every hit tune you can imagine from opera, all packed into one piece. Absolutely incredible, stunning voices. We'll be announcing the casts probably next month or in April. And the subscriptions, renewals, you can renew today. You can renew online at azopera.org. You will renew your seats for Symphony Hall. The exact same seats, or if you want to upgrade or talk to our folks back here about how you'd like to do that. And then the subscribers who are returning will have first dibs at discounted subscription rates on the fall series at Herberger Theater, as well as the Black Box Theater downtown. At La Cenerentola, new subscriptions will be on sale for the full season. And then June 1st, as in past years, we'll have the single tickets on sale with all the details out there for you. Cast, creative teams, conductors, at that point. Before we end with the famous Libiamo, there's a little bit more after Traviata that we're going to do as well. First of all, we're going to have the studio series, which kind of breaks apart the studio cabaret that we've been doing into more small recitals, where each studio artist will get to do their own art song recital at the Black Box Studio, but throughout Phoenix. We'll continue our collaboration with Tucson Desert Song Festival with performances of incredible artists like this week's Jamie Barton at Arizona State University. It was last night, phenomenal program. And then Thursday in Tucson at University of Arizona. And then in April, we'll have a New Work Festival. 2 seasons ago, I made my Arizona Opera conducting debut, jumping in about 3 nights before the performance on a new opera that they realized needed a conductor. And at the last minute, and it was May, so I was already on summer vacation. I don't even remember what that was now, but it was intimate apparel. And that evening, the Arizona Opera also premiered excerpts from Zorro. And it was such a hit that then Arizona Opera did Zorro. So we're going to bring back that format and use that as an opportunity to put new opera in front of our audiences in a small scale, just bites and pieces, to see what sticks and what people like, and then maybe find through that process what operas we'll do on the main stage series in following years. So join us next April for that, to close out the season and get a taste of what might be to come in future seasons there. That's the full gamut, as they say, but we're going to end with a toast, not of champagne because it's still before noon, but a coffee toast from La Traviata with all of the artists singing Libiamo.
Libiamo, Libiamo, negli di qua.
Thank you so much. Aren't they great? And any questions? Yes.
You didn't talk very much about Cinderella.
Cinderella. Yes, come see it. La Cenerentola in April. Semi-staged with orchestra on stage, singers out front over top of where the orchestra pit is, nice and close to the audience. Costumes, props, furniture, lights, and a beautiful backdrop of a ballroom with chandeliers and curtains, and hopefully bringing that to life in quite a bit more than a concert, but semi-stage concert with incredible talented actors roving around and honoring all the great handwork of our artists backstage as well, with costumes and scenery and lights and celebrating everything that goes into opera.
Are those people in?
You guys are in it, aren't you? Yes, yeah. All of you, right? Yeah, they're all in it, so. Yes?
I'm curious about your Young Artist program. Do you all just go to schools like all over Arizona and play for elementary and junior high school, or?
So we have a whole separate group that goes to the schools each day because these guys are coming here and covering and singing roles in the main stage shows. So in Tucson, a lot of that group comes from the University of Arizona, graduate students and recent graduates and chorus, Arizona Opera Chorus members and singers who live in Tucson, and they perform in schools 4 or 5 times a week, all fall from September through December. And then our troupe, our Opportunity troupe is what it's called, performs in the schools here in Phoenix and Maricopa County from January all the way to the middle of May. Yeah. Very busy. Yes?
I noticed there's an upcoming program at Arizona Music Fest involving the opera. Is it this group? Or
Yes, this group is next month on a Friday afternoon. One of the...
It's coming up, the lunchtime one?
Yes.
Yeah, that's just this, I think that's next week.
Next week. There you go. They know the schedule better than I do. Next Friday at Arizona Music Fest at noon with this group and the other 2 singers and our pianist who aren't with us today, just a full program with them. Yeah. All right. Well, if you missed Jamie Barton in Phoenix, it would be well worth the drive to Tucson. It was absolutely phenomenal last night, and I recommend if you have it in you with us tomorrow night to drive down to Tucson and see her at University of Arizona. Incredible. And we'll be continuing that partnership next year with Tucson Desert Song Festival, ASU, and U of A, with an amazing recitalist who we'll announce later as well for next year. Any time for one more question? All right, well, we will see you at the opera. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to our studio, and thank you to ASU Kerr. See you next time.